Hello, I'm Mark Austin and this is the Economic Symmetry Forum. Our goal is to analyse modern challenges through a systems lens to reveal the economic structures that shape society today. We're building a community committed to evidence, collaboration and new ideas because better outcomes come from clarity and optimism, not fear and conflict. This video is about the real causes of immigration. If we want to change immigration levels, we first need to understand what drives them. I live in Britain, and in the 2016 Brexit referendum, a major study found that around 70% of Leave voters were motivated primarily by concerns about immigration. Yet since then, immigration has not fallen, it has increased. So the key question is this: why did immigration rise, even after a vote against it? The answer has nothing to do with culture or morality and everything to do with economics. Immigration rises when labour costs need to fall, and the British government needs to lower labour costs because the UK economy is shrinking. Why is it shrinking? Because of the long-term structural deficits. We import more than we export, and over time that erodes domestic production and domestic wages. One of the biggest reasons for this imbalance is foreign state subsidies, trading partners funding their industries, making their goods cheaper and more competitive than ours. This undermines local production, hollowing out whole sectors and pushing our economy into a weaker position. Immigration operates as a labour market adjustment tool. Increasing the supply of workers puts downward pressure on wages and shifts bargaining power toward employers. This supports profitability and cost competitiveness, but the downside is that many domestic workers experience wage stagnation and financial strain. Wage pressure isn't the only way governments try to stay competitive. Another tool is currency devaluation. When a currency is weakened, exports become cheaper abroad, helping local industries survive. But there's a trade-off. Imports cost more, everyday goods become pricier, and people's savings lose buying power. In difficult times, long-term stability is often sacrificed in exchange for short-term competitiveness. Once a currency weakens, inflation does the heavy lifting, not productivity. As money loses value, nominal size of government debt stays the same, so that debt shrinks in real terms. With inflation pushing GDP up, the debt to GDP ratio falls, allowing governments to refinance what they owe instead of repaying it. This keeps the system moving, but the burden is carried by savers, workers and pensioners. The Cantillon effect shows that newly created money doesn't enter the economy evenly. It moves through the system in stages, and each stage benefits differently. The closest to the source of new money gain first. Asset holders see their portfolios rise in value as the money supply expands. Government contractors benefit next because new spending and investment flows through them directly. Large corporations with pricing power can then raise prices ahead of inflation and stay ahead of the curve. But wage earners and savers sit at the very end of the chain. By the time salaries rise, prices have already moved. Savings lose purchasing power quietly and continuously. This imbalance feeds low trust, financial anxiety and hoarding behaviours, which eventually spill into political and social polarisation. People feel squeezed, but they aren't fully sure why, so blame becomes fragmented. At the same time, government decisions are shaped by multiple forms of pressure from the top of the chain. Asset holders push for bailouts, contractors influence regulation, corporations lobby for advantage. Together these forces reinforce the uneven distribution of new money, leaving ordinary workers to absorb more of the cost. Today, most economies rely heavily on government-led money creation. When a crisis hits, governments turn to the central bank for support. The central bank creates new money through quantitative easing and reserve expansion. This increases the monetary base and allows governments to roll their debts forward rather than resolve them. But there's another way money can enter the economy. Commercial banks create new money when they lend to businesses. That system contains its own discipline. If the business fails, the loan isn't repaid and the money created is deleted from the system. Losses fall on the lender and the business, not the public. This feedback loop encourages caution and forces investment toward real value creation rather than financial expansion. The business and value creation loop is what keeps an economy genuinely competitive. Consumers decide which products succeed by choosing where to spend their money. Businesses, in turn, maximise profits by improving productivity and technology, creating goods and services that people will want. This process drives real value, and that value builds trust, cooperation, and long-term stability. But this loop operates with constraints. Profitability depends on energy, natural resources, geography, regulation and taxation. When those factors are balanced, the system works well. However, the playing field is now asymmetric. Foreign trading partner subsidies distort competition, giving other countries structural advantages that our businesses do not have. If we focus more on correcting these distortions rather than adapting to them, we could protect value creation and stop the economy shrinking over the long term. Join our community forum by following the link below.